what is happening now is indeed supernatural. It is a move of God. And I believe that Charlie Kirk is the Stephen of our time. So do you know the story of Stephen in the Bible? Stephen was the first Christian martyr. Okay, so after Jesus ascended back up to heaven, he was the first Christian whose blood was spilled for the gospel of Christ. And so I want to read to you a little bit from the Bible of Stephen's story, because I find so many crazy parallels to what happened to Stephen here and Charlie Kirk's life. All right, so let's look at this. This is Acts 6. And Stephen, full of grace and power, was performing great wonders and signs among the people. Now, Charlie Kirk was not going out physically healing people, but God was using Charlie Kirk to heal people's minds, to heal their spirits, to heal their emotions. Okay, so I believe that Charlie Kirk actually was full of grace and the power of God, and he was performing great wonders and signs among the people. And you know, that is what he did the most, Charlie Kirk. He went among the people. He went to them. Okay, and then look what happened here. Some men from what was called the Synagogue of the Freedmen, including all these people from all these different places, they rose up and argued with Stephen. And so that's exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk. All of these people from these different, ideologies, there'd be Satanists and, all these different people that would come to argue with Charlie. And what were they trying to do? They were trying to trap him. They were trying to get him to say something so they could accuse him of being racist and all of this stuff. But they never could catch him in that kind of stuff. So what did they do then? Then, here's what happened to Stephen. Then they secretly induced, go back to verse 10. I skipped this. This is important. But they were unable to cope with his wisdom and the spirit by whom he was speaking, right? So these people would come and they would try to trap Charlie, okay? But he was full of the love of Jesus Christ, okay? And so what would they do then? Then here's what happened to Stephen. They secretly induced men to say, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and they came up to him and dragged him away. So this is what has happened, okay? So when you got all these people, waves of these people making these videos now and posting it on places like X that had believed that Charlie Kirk was racist, okay? Because they'd seen all these little deceptively clipped videos that seemed to took his words out of context to make it look like he was racist. And then when they took the time to go and look at all the videos in full and see what he really was saying, you got all these people saying, he wasn't racist. He wasn't racist at all. They were lying. They were lying to you. And that's the same thing they did to Stephen. They twisted his words and they stirred all these people up against Stephen. They lied about him because they couldn't catch him in anything. And then they dragged him away. And all who were sitting in the council stared at him, and they saw his face, which was like the face of an angel. And now, if any of you, I'm sure probably a lot of you watched the memorial on Sunday when Erica Kirk talked about going in to view Charlie's body after he had died. And she said he had a smile on his face. And I think it was like the face of an angel because he was home with Jesus. Okay, so after this, then they, I'm not going to read all this because then Stephen gives a very, very clear explanation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he takes 2 chapters to do it. So he goes into a lot of detail. And they are so incensed and infuriated when they hear the gospel of Jesus Christ that they stoned him to death, that they publicly executed him. And that's the same thing that happened to Charlie Kirk. And do you know what happened after they stoned Stephen to death? Here's what happened. And on that day, a great persecution began against the church in Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria. Therefore, those who had been scattered went through places preaching the word, okay? Because of Stephen's martyrdom. That is why then all these Christians started scattering out to all these different places out around the world. And that's why the gospel of Jesus Christ was spread around the world as it was, as successfully as it was. Because Stephen was martyred, because he was martyred. And so we see so many similarities in this, okay? Because a man, Charlie Kirk, was martyred in front of the whole world, okay? He was full of joy, the joy of the Lord, and he was fearless and he was bold about his faith. And now millions of people are waking up because of this, okay? And this great revival, this great awakening is taking place because of what has happened, okay? It is being spread around the world, and we don't have to physically go around the world these days like they did back then, because now we can take this message all around the world using social media. So God is just he's using all of this, turning all of this around for such good. So join in and get excited about all this amazing stuff that God is doing. Oh my goodness, guys, it's amazing.